Minas Tirith has just been released, and even though I immediately ordered it to review it for you in a couple of days, I still wanted to take a look at some of the criticism this set gets and whether or not I think it's justified. Because of that, I've asked you in a community post to tell me what you dislike about the final set, and I'm gonna go over each of the most mentioned points in this video. If you enjoy this type of content and don't want to miss the set review, hit like and subscribe, and now let's get straight into the topic. The single most mentioned point of criticism wasn't regarding the build itself, it was about the minifig lineup and the quality of figures. A lot of you said that Gandalf's beard is way too long and they should have given him a shorter one, which would have been way more accurate to the movie. The hair and the likeness of Faramir isn't great either, it's just not really accurate to the actor. Arwen's unprinted skirt is really a no-go for such an expensive set. The shields of Gondor soldiers have an incorrect shape, and I totally agree with the people who said that LEGO should have included more Gondor soldiers, especially considering the price tag. Another thing that a lot of you pointed out is the lack of a unique mold for Andoril, and I once again 100% agree with you. After LEGO went out of their way and created a unique mold for the shards of Nazil in the Rivendell set, it is really disappointing to see them get lazy and not do the same for the legendary Andoril in Minas Tirith. But staying with the minifig topic for a second, a lot of you were also disappointed by the amount and some of the missing characters. 10 figures really isn't that much compared to Rivendell, even though Minas Tirith is more expensive, but the lack of certain characters is really a shame. We got the full fellowship and more in Rivendell, and in Minas Tirith there are some characters that are just missing. A lot of y'all wanted to see the Witch King in here, and I totally agree with that, while I do get the concern of some people who didn't want such a character being behind a $650 paywall. I think that LEGO could have easily included him in Minas Tirith while re-releasing him in a smaller set or helmet set further down the road. Still, not having one of the main bad guys just feels kinda wrong, especially since he has some iconic moments in the White City. A character that surprisingly nobody mentioned is Eowyn. Yeah, her most iconic moments happen outside of the city and in Rohan, but I really think that both the Witch King and Eowyn should have been part of the set. The only reasonable explanation for LEGO not including them has to be that they plan on releasing them in a future Minas Morgul or Edoras set, which would be fine for me. What's not fine though is the lack of Citadel/Fountain Guards, as quite a lot of you pointed out, and rightfully so. I highly doubt that we will see a lot of LEGO Lord of the Rings sets based on Minas Tirith outside of this 18+ set, and because of that it really was the only opportunity for LEGO to give us these amazing looking soldiers in minifig form. Just look at these beautiful customs by Martin Lego Design that LEGO for some reason didn't want to release. Such a beautiful helmet and intricate armor design, and LEGO somehow blew the chance of giving them to us. What a shame. Even though most people said that the build was pretty much perfect, some of you still pointed out some issues. One common complaint about the set not being minifig scale, but I think the fact that the build is a giant white city is explanation enough why LEGO had to downscale the city to make a LEGO set even possible. Another comment also complained about the walls and wanted to see a second semi-minifig scale wall, and I just don't really understand that. It already looks pretty weird seeing minifigs on the first wall in my opinion, and I don't think that a second wall in the scale would have improved the look. The first wall is already way too small to really fit minifigs, and since the rest of the build is way too underscaled for figures, it doesn't really matter in my opinion. One valid comment pointed out that the tower on top is too small, and yeah, I 100% agree with that. When you compare the in-movie look to the build, it is as clear as day that the tower isn't tall enough. I guess it's due to the top part already having to be pretty small due to scaling issues, and because of that the designer probably wasn't able to create a solution to make the tower taller, which is something I do understand, but it's still incorrect. One of the commenters also didn't like the color scheme, but in my opinion going with the normal LEGO white was the correct choice. Using tan or a different shade would have been absolutely ridiculous, and trying to show some weathering on the walls via using some tan and other colored bricks would have looked just as bad. Representing the discoloration of Minas Tirith is really only possible via prints or paint, and since LEGO was never gonna do that, I'm happy with what they did. They even tried to resemble some wear and tear through building techniques and those wall bricks, and in my opinion this is 100% enough and does actually look good. Another point of criticism that I don't understand at all was this comment about the backside with the throne room. First of all, I have to say that the throne room is easily one of the most beautiful looking LEGO interiors that I have ever seen, and I totally get why people hype it up, and secondly, I totally disagree with what this commenter said about Barad-dûr. Barad-dûr was way taller and thus had way more space for separate rooms. Sadly we don't see a lot of Barad-dûr in the movies though, and because of that all of the rooms are just there to fill out the space. Not a lot about them is actually canon. Comparing this to Minas Tirith, where we get a couple of small rooms that actually happen to be in the movie, and getting the single most iconic room of the city being the beautiful throne room is in my opinion so much better compared to the what I view as lackluster interior of Barad-dûr. The interior of Sauron's Dark Tower feels more like it's part of a playset, while Minas Tirith's interior is worthy of an 18+ display set. The last point of criticism that I want to talk about is not really about the set itself, it's more about the gift with purchase. I'm actually a big supporter of the idea that LEGO should have either included the Grond directly in the set, or made it a separate set that could double as an army builder battle pack. If that would have been the case, LEGO could have made a GWP with the Witch King duel or the awesome beacon scene and included 2 more Gondor soldiers, which in my opinion would have been a great idea. The beacon scene would have offered a way better looking build that didn't need to be downscaled as much as the Grond. There are some pretty cool custom builds of the beacon that are in the style of a GWP, and while the Grond was a logical choice, I personally agree with the comments saying that the beacon would have been a better choice and better looking model as well. But these were already pretty much all of the points of criticism I could find under the community post. Just to clarify this, I didn't intend to hate on Minas Tirith in this video. I myself bought it the second it dropped, and I still stand by my saying that this is easily one of the best LEGO sets ever made. As I said, if you don't want to miss the review of both the Grond and the White City, stay tuned for that. Now I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would highly appreciate like to support the channel. If you're new, go to the subscribe button, and if you want to check out some of our other videos, don't be on screen right now.